This is a Canon HDV mini DV camera, and this is a HV30 model. Now, they were released all over the world. This happens to be a Japanese version, and it's obviously one of the later kind of mini DV cameras available because it could record in HDV format, and Sony also had its own kind of range of HDV cameras. What they did is they recorded HD video in 1080i, so interlaced. They could be used also for the regular mini DV standard kind of video. So I thought I'd get hold of one if I can. They come up occasionally in the UK. Unfortunately, they tend to be a little bit more expensive than what I paid for this one. I'll just let you know how much this one was. The actual camera was bought for £7 from Japan, but in the end it was £29 with delivery. So you are paying for two lots of shipment. You're paying for the shipment to the BIE kind of centre, and then obviously the international shipment and any kind of handling and extra charges that they kind of put on. But I was quite surprised to get the camera in really good condition. It did come with two batteries as well initially, but I could only have one shipped, and this is the battery that was part of the camera, so that was shipped with the camera, but the other battery they had to discard, which is a bit of a shame. But anyway, this one seems to have reasonable amount of power, so that's good. Now, what I want to try to do with this camera is use it on some of my old tapes, so to allow me to archive some of my old footage, and also to have a bit of a play about with the HDV kind of video standard. So that's my interest in it. One thing I just noticed with the camera is it seems to have a bit of a loose kind of screen here, or the hinge doesn't kind of snap in as you'd kind of expect it to do, but that's not too bad. I could probably work around with something to kind of keep that in place. Let's have a look at the camera. Let's turn it on. So first thing we see is probably it hasn't got a tape, or please set the time. It's asking me to do that in Japanese, but obviously that's not something I'm going to be able to do. So I'm just going to go down and look for the language setting. So there should be one, and there we are. So I'm just going to put this camera to English. Ooh. It's in English now. So I think by default the camera's set up for HDV, which means it probably won't even like the tape, because if it's got a different kind of video format on there, it'll probably complain. But let's see. Now, the only thing I've noticed with this camera, and it's probably something that you should check on a lot of Canons, is the little rubber wheel there. Now, these do tend to get loose. They're held in place by a little bit of plastic, and that plastic can kind of expand and split, so just be very wary. And it's probably worth shaking like a camera about just to see if you can discover anything loose in there, because that could be actually that. So this is what it's saying. It's an 80 minutes, which is okay. Let's just see if I can go to play this. Oh, there you go. You saw something flick, and then it said incorrect tape specification. Playback is restricted. So I did think when that happened it could just be related to the fact that it's set to record in HDV mode, but I don't think it is, because it's telling me here it's a DV tape, so a DV kind of video standard. So that is an issue, and the issue is because it's actually set as an NTSC camera. So to get around that, there is some dodgy firmware out there on the great internet, and it's getting a little bit harder to find now, but I did find a copy of it and I'm going to try to get it installed on the camera now. These are the directories I have on my computer of some files that I found on the internet. So the top one says from Japanese Canon site, so this is the original firmware, and it wasn't on their site basically because it's such an old camera, but I was able to find it via the archive Wayback Machine essentially. So that's where that file came from. And then there's this modified kind of firmware, which is a program. So I've not used this yet. I'm just going to see what it entails. So it looks like it doesn't support the HV40 for some reason. So let's just select the HV30. So it says firmware creation, normal LCD or flipped. Oh, I think I'm just going to do normal. Check this box after successfully flashing the firmware. Okay, so there's additional hacks. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to create the firmware. It says file not found. Probably needs to be in the right folder. So I'm just going to copy this file into here. And I'm going to run again. It's come up with a message, manually flash new firmware in the camera. This is a mini SD adapter. That's the sort of card that these cameras take. So it goes into the adapter, and then I've got a USB kind of SD card reader. So put that into the PC. For some reason I just could not get it to work over the USB in the PC. So what I've done is I've just copied the firmware file that's sat in the extracted directory that happens when you basically run the Canon firmware executable. I've actually just copied it onto the card, the root, and it's now for some reason showing up on here. So let's just go to firmware and see if it is going to update. So this is only going to do a straight update to the latest firmware without being the hack firmware. So I'm going to try this first. It says it will go blue and then it will reboot after a couple of minutes. Now it's gone back to the language again. But anyway, let's now, well yeah, we're going to have to set the language, aren't we? Let's just do that. go check the firmware version. We will take the card out. There you are, 1010. Alright, so let's try to hack that firmware. Run this again. Oh, no, don't want to do that. Let's run that one. And then let's try this one. Great. And it's saying manually flash it. Okay, I'm going to try again. So it's now this file here. I'm going to replace this one, which is 2008, with this one. Okay, so this should be the hacked version. And it's gonna, oh yeah, look, 1011. Okay, let's try that then. Excellent. Now, there's one last thing we need to do. A couple of things. Let's change the lounge again. And the other thing is to connect this so I can toggle the version from NTSC to PAL. So that's can only be done using the program. And I'm going to go and do that now, so let's turn that off. And I'm going to try to toggle the mode. Now it says region changed. Okay, let's see if it has that. See if it can actually play the tape. Oh, I better do it with tape selected. There you go. Someone else is recording on there, but it's now a PAL video camera. So that old hack, it's still working, and I'm pleased because I've got myself one now that I can use to archive my tapes, and also if I go into record, oh, don't want to record, let's just go back down here. Let's look at these other modes. So we've got HD standard. It's set up, as you can see. I can actually go back to old school DV. I can switch that. And I can test it. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll do some more videos in the future. Bye for now.